The economics of the fentanyl crisis, a historical perspective. The influx of Chinese fentanyl into the United States has been described by some members of Congress as an act of asymmetric warfare. The Chinese Communist Party is accused of subsidizing and supporting Chinese companies that produce and export fentanyl precursor chemicals to Mexican drug cartels. These cartels then manufacture synthetic opioids, which are smuggled into the United States. While China claims that the fentanyl crisis is an American domestic issue, the disagreement between the two countries has become a major problem for the world's two largest economies. This video explores the historical context of the fentanyl crisis and its implications for both countries. The Opium Wars and China's century of humiliation. To understand China's perspective on the fentanyl crisis, it is crucial to examine the historical context of the Opium Wars. In the mid-19th century, Britain and other Western powers flooded China with opium, leading to widespread addiction and social degradation. China's attempts to combat the opium epidemic resulted in military defeats and unequal treaties that humiliated the country. These events, known as China's century of humiliation, have shaped China's perception of the West and its approach to drug-related issues. The emergence of fentanyl. Fentanyl, a highly potent synthetic opioid, was initially developed for legitimate medical purposes in 1959. China's growing pharmaceutical industry and lower labor costs allowed it to become a major producer of fentanyl precursor chemicals. At the same time, the United States approved fentanyl for medical use in 1988. Pharmaceutical companies aggressively marketed prescription opioids, contributing to the opioid epidemic in the United States. The convergence of China's supply and the U.S. demand created a perfect storm for the emergence of the fentanyl crisis. U.S. response and Chinese involvement. The United States has implemented various measures to address the fentanyl crisis, including restrictions on prescription opioids and political pressure on China. However, the underground networks supplying fentanyl have become stronger despite these efforts. China claims to have strict anti-drug laws, but loopholes in its legislation allow synthetic drug manufacturers to operate legally. Chinese companies have been accused of exporting fentanyl products to Mexican cartels, who act as middlemen for smuggling the drugs into the United States. Chinese money launderers also facilitate the clearing of drug profits. China's perspective and historical lessons. China's traumatic experience during the Opium Wars has shaped its perspective on the fentanyl crisis. While some speculate that China engineered the crisis as payback for past humiliations, it is more likely a target of opportunity that emerged due to existing conditions in both countries. China's pharmaceutical industry and lax regulations, combined with the aggressive marketing of prescription opioids in the United States, created the conditions for the fentanyl crisis. Conclusion. The fentanyl crisis has become deeply ingrained in foreign diplomacy between China and the United States. The historical context of the Opium Wars provides insights into China's perspective on the crisis and its potential motivations. While China denies intentional involvement, its lax regulations and support for the pharmaceutical industry have contributed to the crisis. Addressing the fentanyl crisis requires a multifaceted approach, including stricter regulations, law enforcement efforts, and reducing domestic drug demand. Understanding the historical parallels and lessons from the Opium Wars can help inform strategies to combat the fentanyl crisis and its devastating effects on both countries. As always, do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel, All Things Money, to see more content like this.